Hey, hope you guys are all doing well today. Back again with another reaction. If I can get my microphone to work. Okay, back again with another reaction. Today, I've got a request that is a couple months overdue by a username that I don't know how to pronounce. I'm just going to put it on screen here. Yeah, I want to check out some more shoegaze. We hadn't had shoegaze on the channel in a little while. We checked out Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, last shoegaze album. So I'm assuming we're checking out another one. This is Despondent Transponder by Fleeting Joys. I don't know anything about this band, but I'm assuming they are shoegaze because the request came from my reaction to Loveless, which is like the shoegaze album. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. It'll be in one of these corners. I always forget where YouTube likes to put the I things. But anyway, I don't want to waste any more time. Other than to say I'm going to be, more than likely I will be on vacation while you're watching this video. So if you leave a comment, chances are I may not respond to it as quick as I normally do, in which case I apologize. Yeah, let's get into it. Alright, first song, The Breakup. Is that volume looking? Be a little louder. There we go. That was great, man. That was a whole experience. I felt like I just closed my eyes and I was in like another dimension there. That's crazy. That was really good. I really like that ambient bit at the, or maybe ambient is not the right word, but just kind of like the feedback kind of swirliness at the end. They used as an outro. It kind of reminds me of another band called Holy Fawn. They're not quite as traditional shoegaze, whatever that means. They're a little more doom metal, but yeah, that ending sounded like something they would have done. Very cool, very cool. So this is very reminiscent of My Bloody Valentine. This came out in 2006, so it's obviously inspired by them, as most shoegaze is. Seems like a relatively small band. They only have 77,000 monthly listeners. Are they still active? Their last album was in 2021. So yeah, they're still relatively active. Where are they from? Does not say. I don't know. I'll have to check their Instagram and get back to come to that conclusion. I'm not sure where they're from, but yeah, that was a very good song. I do feel like it kind of dragged a little bit at the end. I feel like the outro should have started sooner, I guess, is my only complaint. Which, I mean, again, that's petty. I know that's petty. But I mean, like, if you have such a good piece of work, I feel like if someone is critiquing you that pettily, I would take it as a compliment, honestly, because that means it's hard to find flaws in your work. Because if the song sucks, I'm gonna talk about more than, oh, I didn't like how long the last verse was, like. But yeah, that was a very good song. I think I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Let's get into song 2. Lovely Crawl. Got lyrics to this one. Oh, those harmonies. This part right here, this is it. Zero complaints about. I hit pause. Zero complaints about that song. That I like that one a lot better than the first one. It was a very, very good song. I thought it stayed exactly as long as it needed to. I have no critiques. That is a 10 out of 10. Let's get on to song 3. Go and Come Back. We got lyrics again. Let's go. It's pretty good. The only thing I'll say about that song is that was almost uncannily a My Bloody Valentine song. Like if you played that for me and said this is My Bloody Valentine, I'd almost My Bloody Valentine, I would almost believe you, just because they're very similar sounding. This band so far, out of the 3 tracks I've heard, seems to be way more rooted in the rock elements, whereas My Bloody Valentine is kind of like, they have those more rockin' songs like Only Shallow, but then they also have weirdness going on, and a lot. So far, this band doesn't really seem to have weirdness. It's more rooted in the rock. I can kind of feel the more grunge elements in this album than I could in Loveless, So yeah, that was an okay song. I will say it was kind of, it didn't bring anything new to the table for me. It kind of sounded like just another My Bloody Valentine song. So, which isn't a bad thing, just not something I could see myself revisiting, just because, these 2 songs felt more defining. It felt like they kind of had their own flavor. This just feels like copy and paste My Bloody Valentine, which there's nothing wrong with that because they have a good sound, and um that sounds really mean. I'm not trying to be mean. I still gave it a 7 out of 10. I still liked this song. I'm just saying it didn't have Fleeting Joy's flavor. It just felt like another My Bloody Valentine song. That's what I'm trying to get at. I was gonna say something else, but I can't think of it. So it must not have been important. Yeah, let's just get on to song 4, I Want More Life. No lyrics for this one. Very nice, very nice. That's kind of what I mean when I say their own flavor. My Bloody Valentine had the whole thing where they would sample flutes and do weird stuff with them. This was kind of more grounded than that. I'm assuming this is a VST because I don't even want to think about how much an actual orchestra would cost. So this is also 2006. I don't know how VST sounded in 2006. So it's either sampled or a virtual instrument, and virtual instruments just sounded a lot better than than I would imagine in 2006. So yeah, that was very good. And the drums are another good thing. They completely differed from the other three songs. The other however many songs I've listened to, they had I'm assuming they took a room mic, or like had a mic out in the hall for the drums, and they just turned that all the way up and didn't they just turned that all the way up for this song. And yeah, it was very cool sound, very blown out, kind of reminiscent of like modern shoegaze artists like Flying Fish. Very very cool, very cool. Yeah, I want to see more, you know. I felt like that was a cool track, but it didn't get me anywhere, you know what I mean? So yeah, 9 out of 10. Very very minor complaint, but still a complaint nonetheless. I'm enjoying this album so far. Let's get into song 5, Satellite. Yes, sir. Oh, yes. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted. That is exactly what I wanted. That's the type of stuff I want to see out of this band. Yeah, that was great. They had their own kind of flavor while keeping some of the I I don't know the word, the stereotypes, I guess. I don't know the stereotypes of the shoegaze genre. So, yeah, it was a very very grungy song. Had like the guitars, the riffage, and the tone overall is just, that's just the thing for shoegaze. It's a very grungy tone with a lot of reverb, and it's very cool. The it was very upbeat, and one thing that really set this song apart was the vocals were very clear in this song in particular. Like in pretty much every other shoegaze song, the vocals are very reverbed to the point where you can't really understand them, and that's just the style of the genre. It sounds cool, I don't really care. But this was very clear, so it was almost more like an alt rock kind of influence, which was really cool. One thing that's really standing out for me in this album so far is the bass. The bass is going crazy. I also really like the male vocals. The female vocals are really good too, but the female vocals I think are a little too similar to My Bloody Valentine. That's not a critique on her vocals. I'm not saying she's a bad singer. I think she's a great singer. I just think the quality is very similar to My Bloody Valentine. The tonal quality. She's got like a very she sings in falsetto a lot, and it's got very whispery tone. But I mean, it's shoegaze. Most singers sing in falsetto and have a very whispery tone. I don't know. I'm being overly critical today. I don't know why. Very good song. I don't have any complaints about that one. 10 out of 10. Let me quit my yapping and let's get into song 6, While I'm Waiting. Significant lack of reverb on the vocals here too. I don't know if it's something I'm just now picking up or what. Yeah, that was honestly probably my least favorite song so far. Not to say I didn't like it. Um, just overall, I don't think it brought much new to the table. Same complaint as Go and Come Back. It was very. It just kind of felt like copy paste My Bloody Valentine again, and there wasn't a whole lot of movement. It was just kind of stagnant. So I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. I'll give it a 6.8. Yeah, because I didn't think it was a bad song at all. That's not a song I would revisit. Kind of just whatever. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into song 7, Magnificent Oblivion. I love that song title. Let's see if I like the song. Violins are back. Let's go. That's cool. Okay, I tried to like that song, guys. I really did, but that just was not for me. First of all, that song did not go anywhere. It was very stagnant. And then the violin, and it's just that for almost 6 minutes. Yeah, that wasn't for me. That song did not do it for me. And the thing about the violins is it was cool the first time, but I don't know if it's because I turned my volume up. Yeah, I don't know if it was because I turned my volume up. No, it wasn't. Yeah, it was. But it was cool this first time, but just as it kept coming around and I turned up my volume, the violins are so forward in the mix, and it sounds like they didn't use any fades on the sample, so you can hear where they chopped it up, or at least I can hear where they chopped it up. It makes a little, or hang on, let me, like that, but not nearly that extreme, but like a little pop every time the track splits if you don't do fades, and I could hear that. And I'm going to school for music production right now, and I've had to edit out so many of those pops. I think it's just like ingrained in my head now that, like, I don't know, but the average, like, the average consumer is not going to realize that, so it's fair if you don't want to do all that extra work. Yeah, that's my least favorite song on the album. Was not for me. Will not be revisiting that one for sure. I will give it a 5.5 out of 10. I think that's fair. Yeah. All right, let's get into song 8. Where do I end? Don't know. Let's find out. Oh. Already so much better. So much better already. That's what I'm talking about. That might be my favorite song on the album, honestly. I don't know. I really, really like that one. The last song was just filler to get to this song. One thing, the thing I noticed at the end there when I took off this headphone, the drums are panned hard right. It's flipped, so it's like left on your screen, but it's right for me. This is hard right for me. The drums are just in this headphone. There weren't any drums in here, and the bass was in here. Very unorthodox, but I thought it worked quite well, actually. Yeah, that was a very good song. A lot of movement. It was very interesting. I wasn't bored at all. That chord progression, that was just one of those chord progressions I could hear over and over and over again. And yeah, that really did it for me. I think there was like a hiccup somewhere. Like maybe they cut a track too short or something, or they couldn't splice it together quite in time, because that didn't quite feel like a song that was recorded to a click track. The tempo was very push pull, which was cool. I really liked that. I liked how the feeling that it gave to the song. I really liked that. So yeah, I'll forgive the hiccup. Unless it, yeah, I'll forgive the hiccup. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. It was a very good song. That might be my favorite off the album. All right, we are on to song 9. We have one more song after this, and that will be the album. So far, I'm enjoying it. There are definitely some songs that I think weren't great compared, but you have like songs like Where Do I End and Lovely Crawl and Satellite, and then everything else is kind of like, me personally, I'm sure there's a lot of I wasn't a huge fan of their most streamed song, which was Coming Back. Wasn't a huge fan of that song, but I'll get into it again. I'll get into it a little bit more after I finish the album. For now, let's just get into song 9. No lyrics on this one. Must just be an instrumental. Oh, that was sick. We hadn't had any transitions in this album yet. Nope, okay. That's fine. Alright. Sounded kind of punky. Before we get into that one, Young Girl's Fangs, I don't know. I wish it would have gone. It was really cool, but it didn't go anywhere, It just kind of went, Wanted to see some movement. I don't really think I can rate that one, though, because it was only like a minute long. It was like 2 minutes of just static. I don't know. I'm not going to rate that one. Let's get on to the last song, song 10, Patron Saints. Sounded kind of punky from the first second I heard. No lyrics. was a good album. I'll give that last song an 8 out of 10. My main complaint with that song, and just a general thing about the whole album, the guitars need to be more forward in the mix, especially for this specific type of shoegaze. This is kind of emulating, or not emulating, but kind of in the same vein as My Bloody Valentine. And in My Bloody Valentine, the guitars are absolutely the focal point. Here, it feels like the vocals are more of the focal point, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like where I wanted to hear super washed out guitars and like just, you know, super swirly stuff, I feel like for some songs that just didn't happen because the guitars are so far back in the mix. Yeah, that's my main critique of the album. There were a couple good songs in here, and there were a couple songs I didn't really care for. Overall, I think it'd be fair to rate this album a 7 out of 10. I think it's pretty middle of the road shoegaze. You know, it's a good album if you're getting into shoegaze, but if you've heard a lot of shoegaze albums, it kind of sounds similar, you know? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this band's just completely unoriginal and garbage. No, I really did enjoy a lot of the songs on this album. I just think some of the songs could have been done better, and some of them just didn't do it for me. So yeah, I think a solid 7 out of 10 is a fair rating. Let me know what you guys thought of this album. Give me your rating below, what your favorite song was, and yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Like I said, I'm on vacation, so if I manage to get another video filmed either tonight or tomorrow, then I'll have that out at some point. I don't know if I'm going to have it out this week or next week. We'll see. Yeah, that's going to do it from me. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless.